Welcome everyone to the Thrive Careers podcast, the show that helps professionals land their dream jobs and build thriving career. I am your host, Olajumoke Fateki, and today we are diving into one of the most critical aspects of job searching: how to craft a winning resume that stands out in today's competitive job market. So, if you've been struggling to get interviews, I say to you, this episode is for you. Chantel, welcome to the Thrive Careers podcast.
Thank you so much, Ola. Thank you for having me.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more, about what inspired you to start helping newcomers with their resumes, job search, and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so what inspired me was there's someone in my close circle who lost their job through a layoff a couple of years ago. And before this person's experience, I also was struggling to find a job that I love. And so when this person got this terrible news, I could see her struggle, and it just made me think that I had all of this knowledge, both as a candidate, as a hiring manager, because I've hired people before. And I just thought that, I wanted to help her, but I also knew there were so many other people who were laid off, or they were also unhappy with their jobs, and they're really looking to find something else. So that's kind of like my origin story.
Amazing. The first question: what is the most common mistakes job seekers make with their resumes, and how can they fix it?
Say the most common mistake that I've seen is people do not customize their resume for each opportunity that they pitch to or pitch for. In my experience as a hiring manager, I've seen a lot of generic resumes, or almost worse, generic cover letters, which we can get into if you want, but you get the sense, particularly if you're looking at applications that come through LinkedIn, that people are just kind of throwing their resumes at anyone who's hiring that day or that week. And as a hiring manager, you can feel that. You feel there's no care that's been taken into the application from the candidates. So I would say that's a very common thing that I've seen and that I see.
Okay. Generic resumes, not, tailoring their resumes to fit the different jobs that they're applying for, right?
Yep. Yeah, because, it's interesting. If, for example, you're applying, for a job as financial analyst, for example, each company that recruits for that role, they might be looking for different things. They might be using different systems, different softwares. They might be looking for different type of person in terms of personality traits, skills and abilities. So this is where customization really plays a role, because, just because, this one institution is looking for one financial analyst doesn't necessarily mean the other one is looking for the same kind of financial analyst, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not just about, level of seniority. There's a lot of nuances in terms of what hiring managers want, and which I know can be frustrating for candidates, but that's just the way it is.
Beautiful. There's a book that I read sometimes back in my career. The title of that book is Getting a Job is a Job.
It really, really is. Yeah.
Exactly. So gone are the days of generic resumes, just one size fits all. You apply for every job. So tailor your resume is the takeaway from that question. Do you think that there is a common misconception about resume writing that people need to unlearn?
A common misconception about resume writing. Well, I think one common misconception is that you have to be very good at writing in general to produce a good resume. And obviously that skill helps a lot. I think that with the advent of AI and tools like ChatGPT, there are tools out there that you can use to make your writing better. I'll give a very, very granular, concrete example. If you write a paragraph about an work experience that you have, and you're not sure it's that great, you can actually throw it into ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it or make it better. And you could be surprised with the results. And I always throw caution, just make sure that you check what it writes for you, make sure it's accurate, and that it's in your voice. But I know some people are intimidated by the act of writing. And, when you're writing your resume, you are selling yourself. you are marketing yourself. And most people are scared to do that and they don't know how to do that. And it's intimidating. So there's kind of like this it's like a double-edged sword, the act of writing, but you're also like, you have to pitch yourself, right? In a resume, you have to put yourself forward in the best possible light so that someone wants to interview you. So,
yeah, fantastic. I think, one key thing that you also highlighted there is the ability to leverage technology. I'm also thinking, is there any chance that formatting and layout still makes any difference today, in resume writing?
they certainly do. If you are submitting your resume to a large organization, I'm talking Google or Meta or any financial institution, for example, they all use what they call ATSs, so it's applicant tracking system. What happens is when you submit your resume to an email address, it is not human eyeballs that see your resume first. It's this system, this machine really, that scans each resume it receives, and it looks for specific keywords and also specific formats. So if you don't have the keywords that they are looking for, that they've identified for that position, or if the format of your resume is not clean and simple, your resume probably will be rejected and will never be seen by, a human hiring manager or human resources person. So format is really important, because even if you are, on the other hand, if you're submitting your resume to, I don't know, someone like me, where I don't have an ATS at work because we're too small of an organization to afford that. Hiring managers don't have a lot of time. And you have to keep in mind that we're getting dozens, if not hundreds of resumes for one role. We are scanning resumes very, very quickly to see, hey, this one looks good. This one looks less relevant. This one looks a bit too complicated to understand because there's graphics and pictures and columns and there's all kinds of things. That can discourage a hiring manager pretty quickly from looking at your resume. So
fantastic.
All
right. Thank you so much. I think you also mentioned something right there that I want us to dive further into. ATS, technology keeps changing our world, and there's really nothing we can do about it other than to adapt the applicant's tracking system. How do people ensure that they pass the test, the ATS test? In terms of the keywords, I feel like, that might be big for some people. If you can break it down further, what you mean by having relevant keywords on your resume to ensure that your resume passes the ATS test and you even get a chance of getting into the hands of the recruiter.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know that for a lot of candidates, it's a really tough nut to crack because you're not dealing with a human being. You're dealing with a machine, and who can control that? I would say, like, the best tip I could give to job seekers is actually read the job posting before you apply. Read it carefully. To make sure that it's a job you actually are interested in, because otherwise you're wasting your time applying for it. But also to see which keywords come up in the job posting. I would look at the skills required section, the main paragraph where they're talking about kind of like a more summary of the role in question, and see if any words come up that are repeated or seem important for that hiring manager. And I would just highlight those. That's what I was doing when I was last looking for a job. I just highlight or circle and see if you have those attributes and those skills and experiences. And if you do, you should take those very same keywords and put them in your resume, specifically in your summary, which we can talk about. And if you have those keywords in your resume, the ATS will pick that up. And I've seen it happen for myself and others. You submit, a resume into this nebulous galaxy. You're like, I don't know where it's going to end up, if anywhere.
Right.
But, using those keywords in my resume, really, it helps. And I would say that's the best way to go about it. Otherwise, the system will just not pick up your resume, and they'll pick up someone else's who actually has those keywords.
Fantastic. Thank you for helping to break that down.